I've told people that I'm embarazado. I meant to say I'm embarrassed, and I said embarazado, which in Spanish means pregnant. Or I might, or I remember one time I said something that I was like excited for a party. I wanted to say that, right? And so I said I'm excitado for para la fiesta, right? And that means you're like you're horny. You're
Why is speaking English so hard? Hi everybody, I'm Cambridge English teacher Rory from studentlanguages.com. Do you sometimes find it difficult just to start speaking in English? If you do, then this video will be great for you. I've got my friend Chris back to talk to you guys again. If you don't know who Chris is from My English Goals, then you should definitely go and check out my part 1 conversation with Chris, where we discuss how you can practice speaking English even when you don't live in an English speaking country. And I will put a link to that video above me here. But in today's video, we are going to be discussing why it's so difficult to speak in English. And so just to tell you quickly about Chris, he is one of my friends. He's an English teacher like me. He lives in Spain and he's been teaching English in Spain for several years now. And he also has his own YouTube channel, and I will put a link to that in the description below. He also has his own website, My English Goals. And that website is aimed to help students set their own goals for learning English. What do you want to achieve when learning English? It's a really good channel, so I recommend checking it out. And if you want to hear a couple of different people with different accents, my English accent and his American accent, talking about and discussing some of the real problems that students have with speaking in English, then you should keep watching this video. There's going to be loads and loads of useful content in there for you. And if you enjoy the video, please give it a like, as that really helps my channel to grow and it helps students like you to find my work. And also click the subscribe button. And then if you press the bell notification after that, you can be notified every time I make a new video, which can be really, really useful for you, especially if you are preparing for one of those tricky Cambridge English exams. Don't forget to watch until the end of this video, because Chris has told me about a really useful resource for you guys, and I will tell you about that at the end. So without further ado, let's get into our discussion. So, Chris, first question I'd like to ask you is why do you think speaking English is so hard?
Right. And speaking English is something that we really like to talk about a lot on our channel, because it's such an important part of English learning, and not enough students take enough time to practice speaking. And why? Well, one of the reasons is, when we think about the core English learning skills are reading, writing, listening, speaking, right? And we've got the passive ones, and then we've got the active ones. What I mean by passive are the ones that we consume: reading, listening. We can read books, we can read newspapers, we can listen to videos and music, and it's not hard to do that. You just open up the internet and consume. The harder part is the writing and the speaking, because those are the active skills. That's where we have to produce English, and especially speaking, because it's so much easier to listen to a video than to actually have to say something in English, and it makes you step out of your comfort zone, because it's something you might not feel like you're very good at doing And so it's hard to motivate yourself to speak in English. It might be hard to find people to speak with in English. But a lot of my students' goals is to communicate in English, to be able to have conversations with people in English. And speaking is one of the most important things you can do to achieve that type of a goal.
Yeah, I agree. I think practicing speaking is really important, and one of the things that I've noticed throughout my life is that people struggle to speak because they're a bit shy and they're not confident, and so they don't push themselves to speak as much as maybe they should. So, Chris, what do you think are some of the biggest barriers to speaking, and how do you think students could overcome these?
Yeah, so like I said, some people say I can't find people to speak with, and I hope that you can see that you can. Nowadays, you can find people to speak with in English. Everybody wants to learn English. So it's about looking, all right? So that's one barrier that people have. But other barriers that are like what we mentioned before. People are shy, or they might be afraid of talking to people in a different language, especially in English. That you might not feel like you know enough to be able to do it, but you need to learn to leave that comfort zone. You need to get into a situation. It might be uncomfortable at first, but you know what I've found with most of my English students? Just
What-
after 2 or 3 weeks of speaking English out loud with somebody, that fear disappears.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah, and they begin to enjoy it, and they realize I can speak English. I can. A lot of times they think English is too hard. I can't speak it. Maybe I can understand it, but I can't speak it. And that's not true. They can. You just need to start. You need to start. You need to practice.
Yeah,
Okay?
yeah,
Another thing that has helped some of my students overcome that fear of speaking is to uh, they record their own videos. They record a video on YouTube. They record a video on Instagram, on Facebook, and sometimes they share that video, sometimes they don't. But in any case, just recording a video and publishing it online, that it's scary, but once you do it, you realize nothing bad happened. It's fine. And then, it starts to become fun to
yeah.
communicate.
I
All
was
right.
just going to say there's definitely a fear involved of making videos. I remember when I made my first few videos, I was pretty nervous, but once you get into it, yeah, it does become quite good fun. And I'm glad I
Yeah.
made them because it means other students can benefit now, and from conversations like this as well. It's
And
going to be really
there's
beneficial.
definitely, there are other benefits too. For example, when you record a video of yourself speaking, this happened to me because I do a lot of my videos in Spanish, right? Or
Yeah,
partially in Spanish.
yeah,
And when I first started, and I still hear it, I realized I thought I spoke with a good Spanish accent because everybody understood me. But when I listened to myself, I realized, wow, there are places I can improve my pronunciation.
yeah.
So just listening to yourself speaking can help you to realize areas where you can improve, where you can keep growing. So it's not bad at all. It's good.
How did you learn Spanish in the first place, Chris?
Yeah, I learned it in the United States with Spanish speakers. I lived in Arizona, and I would say there are probably more people that don't speak English in Arizona than that do, right? So,
Yeah,
or at least more Spanish speakers than English speakers. So I wanted to talk to them, talk to my neighbors, talk to people, and to help them. So I started talking to them, learning. It was hard at first, but that is, I believe, the fastest way to improve your language learning is to speak it with people.
yeah. Okay, I agree. I remember a few years ago I lived in Italy and I did the same thing. I think the way I improved my Italian the most was by speaking to people as much as I could, trying to have that confidence to do it, and I improved a lot. And for any students who are out there watching this video, Chris, as he said, is from Arizona, so his accent is different to my accent, which I think will be really useful for you guys. Again, if you're preparing for exams, it will be useful because you have to listen to different accents. So yeah, just as a side note, was there anything extra you wanted to say about overcoming the barriers, Chris?
Yeah, well, let me see. So you might have barriers about being not wanting to make mistakes in English and
Yeah.
sounding bad, or maybe you're afraid you might offend somebody if you say something wrong, right? Sometimes we do make embarrassing mistakes, but you know what I found? I have found that, and that it's the same is true for me, that when you talk to a native in English, they appreciate it. They appreciate that you are trying to communicate in their language. So they don't get offended. If you make mistakes, they don't care. They don't think negatively about you. They appreciate that you are trying to communicate with them in their language. So do it. Don't worry about the mistakes. Learn English to communicate. You don't need to be perfect, right? You need to communicate.
Yeah.
So
I think a lot of the time we learn through making mistakes as well.
exactly.
I kind of feel like mistakes are what lead to success in all different parts in life. So yeah.
And that's what I tell people that if you're not making mistakes, you're not working hard enough. So
Yeah, it's true. It's true. We all make mistakes. Sometimes they can be embarrassing. Can you remember any specific embarrassing mistakes you ever made, Chris? Or
oh
think
yeah,
of it?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I've got one that I can't tell because it might embarrass other people in the situation. But
Okay.
but I've got, lots of them. So like I've told people that I'm embarazado. I meant to say I'm embarrassed, and I said embarazado, which in Spanish means pregnant. Or I might, or I remember one time I said something that I was like excited for a party. I wanted to say that, right? And so I said I'm excitado for the para la fiesta, right? And that means you're horny. So it's yeah, you make those mistakes, but what happens when you make those mistakes? You can either be embarrassed about them, or you can laugh at them. They're
Yeah,
funny mistakes. And life is fun. Make it fun. So enjoy it.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and I will never forget those errors I made. I will never make them again
yeah,
because
yeah,
I
yeah.
will never forget them. So it's not a bad thing to
Yeah.
make mistakes.
No, no, that's quite funny. It's really funny actually.
Yeah.
And yeah, any other ways to overcome barriers that you can think of?
Yeah, well, if another barrier people have is they can't think of anything to say, right?
Hmm.
So you start a conversation with someone in English and it just turns into a hello, how are you? I'm fine, thank you. Great, bye. I don't know, because they don't know what to say, right?
Yeah.
So prepare before you start speaking with people. You don't have to prepare before all the time. You just start speaking with people, but in the meantime, prepare like I was saying before, think of things that you can explain. How would you do it in English? Write down topics, like write down about your family, write a paragraph about your family, about your job, about your favorite movie, things like that, so that when you are in a conversation, you will already have ideas about what you can say.
Yeah. Good tip. Good tip.
Yeah. For anyone that wants, we also have like some conversation. We've got a little worksheet on conversation starters that they
Oh
can
yeah.
download if they go
Okay.
to our website. I can
Okay.
I can send you the link to that.
Sure, sure, sure. Yeah, I'll put that in the description below as well. That'd be useful, I think. Okay. And there's some really good tips there about overcoming barriers. Are there any last ones you can think of at all?
Well, we could go all day about
Yeah.
on this, but I think the biggest thing that people need to do is they just need to think about, the mentality of why they're learning English, what they want to achieve. If it's just to pass a test, then work for the test, right? But if you want English so that you can communicate with people, then don't let anything stop you from communicating. Get out there and speak. Find ways to speak to people in English. And so, just set goals and do it. Speak English.
Okay. What would you tell students to do now to practice speaking? Is there anything you could tell them to do right now?
Yeah, so right now, if you don't have anybody to speak with, download Tandem or Hello Talk or one of these apps. Download it right now, set up an account, and just send a message to 5 people, right, saying, I want to practice English. Do you want to practice with me? Okay? And some will answer you, some might not, but you'll probably find somebody who will want to talk to you, and you will be able to begin speaking. You can write on these apps. You don't need to do voice calls. You can also do voice messages. So just like on WhatsApp, you press a button, record your message, and it sends it to them. That's less intimidating than doing a voice call, right?
Yeah, it's a good idea. In fact, and yesterday, just talking about this, I saw a post in a Facebook group specifically for people who want to pass the CAE, which is an advanced exam. That person was looking for people to practice speaking with. And so, yeah, I'll put some useful links in the description again for those types of things. And yeah, well, thank you very much, Chris. I think we can call it a day there. To call it a day means to bring the conversation to a finish. Unless there's anything else you would like to add.
No, I'm really excited to see the progress in students, and I'm happy that so many students are they have these goals to learn English, and I'm really grateful for all the help that you're providing them, and I hope that I can provide a lot of help as well. And so, yeah.
I think you have. I think there's been some really, really useful information in this video, and so hopefully the students are going to like it. And if you do like this video, students out there, and you would like to see Chris again, then give the video a like. Write some comments below. I'm sure Chris would be happy to get involved and speak to you guys in some comments below the video as well. Yeah, and I want to say thank you, Chris, for coming on my channel and having a conversation with me. It's been really, really useful and great talking to you.
All right. Thank you.
See you again soon.
See you later. Bye, Rory.
Bye-bye. So I'd just like to say thank you very much for watching this video. When you watch my videos, it helps my channel to grow, and therefore it helps more students like you to find my work. So thank you very much. I really appreciate it. And if you could give the video a like, that would be even better. And if you subscribe to my channel and then press the bell notification, you can be notified every time I make a new video, which can be really useful for you if you are preparing for a Cambridge examination. I've done the same thing with YouTubers that I like and I follow, and now because I subscribed and pressed the bell notification, I can see on my screen on my telephone every time they make a new video, which is really cool. And I told you that Chris had a really useful thing for you guys, and that is his Conversation Starters worksheet. So I'm going to put a link to that worksheet in the description with this video for you now. Okay, so once again, thank you very much for watching this video. Chris has a video on his channel where I am talking a lot more about exam-based topics. So if that sounds like an interesting video to you, I will put a link again to that video in the description below, and I recommend hopping over there and checking it out. Okay, so thank you very much. I've been Cambridge English teacher Rory from studentlanguages.com. See you soon. Bye bye.